I'm joined. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this lovely Thursday evening / afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Kyle Corvus-Crowe. I'm joined by Jeff Zeta-Schnurr here at the casting desk, and we've got Virginia Commonwealth coming up against Colorado State in the round of 16.
Yeah, these two teams, we haven't seen much of them so far in the playoffs, of course, because it's been a little bit focused on some of the perennial favorites, I guess we would say, but VCU, the way that they got here, it's going to pop up on your screen in just a short moment. They went through their fall season, didn't have to play in the spring season at all, in fact. Their only loss was a 2-1. It was close, and the only time they were brought down the Winter Invitational was against Robert Morris University JV. RMU, of course, one of the founding schools of varsity esports. They've got a little bit of a storied history, I would say. And VCU, they're no slouches at all. They had a pretty good run in the round of 32, dropping one game, of course. And same in the round of 16, which is
supposedly this round. Throwing us off just a little bit there.
16-8. This is round of 8, actually.
Okay. It's my first instinct.
This is round of 8. Yes.
I believe you're correct.
No, that is correct, because we currently have 4 matches left in the round in the winner's bracket.
Gotcha.
Which means there's 8 teams total. So,
makes
round
sense.
of 8 should be right. I'm pretty sure we're in the round of 8 at this point, right? Colorado State University, to get here, right, they had a fall record that looks much the same as Virginia's does, right? One loss. Theirs was actually a 0-2, but it was to Arizona State. You remember those guys?
Right.
They went up really far into the Winter Invitational runoff.
Mm-hmm. Would-be finalists.
Would-be finalists, as it were. But with them having an ineligible player, we're not sure if they would have won with eligible players, etc., whatever it happens to be. Winter Invitational, they dropped to Manitoba, and then they dropped one game to UCSB. But that's one less game than Virginia has dropped in this. Actually, no, CSU also dropped a game in the round of 32, I believe.
Yeah,
so they both dropped the exact same amount of games coming up here so far, right? Winner's bracket, both lost one game out of their best of 3s in the last 2 matches. They're both coming in off of a, 5-1 versus a 6-1 season in the fall season. Neither one made it past the round of 16 in Winter Invitational. These are 2 very evenly matched teams in terms of records, so maybe one of our closer games.
Yeah, hope to see it as the players, they are ready to get on in to the first draft here. Virginia Commonwealth going to be coming up here on the blue side. It will be Colorado State, the Ram Ranch boys, out onto the red side. A little bit of memeage coming about, but you know what? This is something we're fairly accustomed to. Maybe not accustomed to that Anivia ban right off the rip. You got to think that's a little bit of a target there at Kalina. I hope I'm saying that one correctly, but pretty standard over on the other side. It's Virginia Commonwealth. They're going to take off the Ornn. They don't want to see the Ezreal either. Keep in mind, of course, this is still double-tier Ezreal patch, so they do take that one out and away. Fizzban is, we're seeing some solo lane focus here over on the side of Colorado State. The Lulu as well, a little bit more flexible, but gotta think that's targeted towards that bottom side as well. And Vi, the last ban to come out, means Sejuani, first pick, left wide open for Charlie Day here. He's going to pick that one up. Hope to slay the Nightman with it. We'll find out.
And Vi has been, I think, rising in popularity. It's not necessarily the most broken pick, but when you get to, a certain point, right, Warrior Sheen, she tends to do an insane amount of damage, right? You get the One Punch Man style, 1 hit, 2 hit, they're dead. So, not giving over a slight comfort pick plus a rising star in terms of the solo queue-esque style, the other ones, of course, in solo queue, AP Shyvana, etc., whatever, but this is the one they're focusing on because it's the one DJ has played a lot of. So, taking off the table.
I mean, that's let them leave open a slot for Lucian Braum to slide through in the first round of the draft, too. You got to think, is that Ezreal or that Vi or that Ornn so necessary that you can give up that double combo so early onto the red side? They think they had the answer with Caitlyn Nami, but not exactly convinced.
The Ornn ban, little bit, I wouldn't say ironic, but, amusing, because after all, they are the VCU Ornns. So, maybe a little bit of a callback there. Whatever happens to be, Caitlyn Nami, certainly a very competent lane in the bottom lane. There's basically no way you can shove it out permanently. Lucian will be taking poke damage. He will be, on the back foot, unless they can get some kind of an all-in with the Winter's Bite plus double auto attacks. I don't really see them being able to kind of force VCU out of the lane. That's the real problem. And the other thing is, because their jungler's a Nunu, extremely telegraphed, he has to stay on the ground, he has to be visible, long run-up time, etc., 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 most of the deeper wards are going to give them adequate time to respond to his ganks. So the bottom lane is going to be extremely safe in that sense. The mid lane, not so much if they remove the Lissandra, right? This is one of the typical safe picks, I would say. It has the Claw to get away, it has the self-ultimate. Generally, you're going to see them buying Stopwatch or taking in runes as well. Whatever that happens to be, last bands now coming out, a top lane squeeze from CSU, the mid lane potentially targeted by VCU.
Yeah, they definitely want to take that one out.
I think they have to ban out another mid lane, right? They just have to remove something off the table.
Already.
They're going to go for the top lane. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a safe enough ban coming out here. Maybe telegraphs your pick just a little bit when they ban the Yorick away. But we'll see what they do decide to opt for here, as they do have to find one of the solo laners on the side of Colorado State. Maybe flex, maybe not, if they lock in the Scion just to say no. We want the safety of it. We kind of want the all-American. Put them top lane and just see what happens here. We're happy for most matchups there.
The NA island, as it were. Just throw Dyrus up there, see what happens.
Yeah.
Not really worrying about it.
I mean, he's going to have to eco. It's a Nunu and Willump. He's not exactly going to have all the jungle support in the world.
I mean, realistically, I'm going to expect something not that aggressive. I was expecting more of a Gnar style pick, but they're going fully into the Renekton. Confidence from Eckhart in that top lane, and then mid lane to pair with it, right? Without the Lissandra, you're probably looking at a little bit more of a control mage, right? You could go for the Orianna here. You could even think about the Syndra potentially with the Veigar. Off the table, you know that they're going to pick something a little bit more engage heavy, most likely. Potentially the Echo or something else that really wants to dive in. But the Vel'Koz, this is a very interesting team comp, right? Because they have Renekton and Sejuani, both extremely dive heavy champions. They're all about getting in the face, all about doing the damage. And then you have Nami, Caitlyn, Vel'Koz, completely disjointed backline that just wants to peel, zone, and get this damage from afar. So I guess not a super traditional front-to-back composition, because Renekton doesn't go backwards well. He doesn't retreat, he doesn't peel very well. Maybe they're just looking at the entire forward-facing meta, but they do indeed lock in a Syndra eventually. Into the Vel'Koz, not range advantaged, but definitely able to land the stuns if need be. The problem is still this Nunu, right? We have to see him making a big impact in the mid lane, I think, or else the Vel'Koz is going to get free farm. Renekton's going to keep shoving in. The bot lane's not going to move.
Right.
The jungle really matters for CSU here, and I'm not sure they have the right one to take advantage of this composition.
All that extended farming going to go so well now for the Virginia Commonwealth side of things. I mean, get the Caitlyn just late enough into the game, it's going to be such a terror. And when you look at the range that they're going to be able to output against Colorado State, becomes a very interesting question of just how heavily they'll be sieged and how much they'll have to play around some of that CC that's going to come out. Sejuani, Nami, I mean, you got a lot of options there looking at the composition, so plenty that they could run this down to the wire with. I'm excited to see that one all pan out. I mean, compositionally, you got to think Virginia Commonwealth, if they play that range aspect right and can manage the engage and disengage potential of their composition, are going to have this one fairly strong. I mean, they a lot of things to fight back for the side of CSU, but if that Syndra doesn't get rolling, if that Nunu can't help out the lanes, we just might see a rougher time for Colorado State. Not to say that Ram Ranch can't make it happen. We will see as we are getting on into game number 1, who is able to come out of this one with all the priority pressure and energy. Is round of 8 kicking off right now. It means Colorado State, it's Falcon in the top lane, DJ Kush in the jungle, Danon in the mid lane, Geld in the bottom at the marksman role, and Rise of Fenris as the support. And over on the blue side for Virginia Commonwealth, Eckert here in the top lane, Charlie Day in the jungle, Kalini almost getting a little bit of trouble, but popping off the invade there in the mid lane, and Apdo and Mappy Chow running out the bottom side.
It's a pretty typical invade, right? You sprint down one of the openings near Pixel Brush with Braum. You catch somebody with Winter's Bite, you kill. If you don't, you don't. So now they're going to go back, try to leash him out, and most likely just set up for a very standard clear. I'm going to expect the Nunu, of course, to have very good control over the scuttles. He's very fast, single target jungler, right? Double smite definitely helps him clear a lot of things extremely quickly. Not to mention, he's very healthy while doing it. So Sejuani, who can sometimes fight people in the jungle if you give her a little bit of space, if you give her a little bit of extra, room. We're not expecting her to, though, right? She's not really wanting to contest the Nunu. That's not a fight that either one really takes extremely well. So, starting on the same side, though, both on the top side, you have to expect the Nunu to be going for a very quick scuttle, and then potentially onto his blue side to mirror on the same thing, because he's thinking that the Sejuani is going to want to start blue, of course, but I don't know if he knows if she's going to go for the scuttle.
A lot of mind games going into this one around the earlier...
Or an early gank, level 2 mid.
Ooh, want to find it. Could you get it? Looks like no. The snowball actually will tag that one up. It's a stun. It's still level 1, so not a lot of tools at the disposal for this Vel'Koz here, but he is able to stay alive. No summoners burned. Yeah, that's the big key here, is that he did come away without the loss of a summoner, so at the end of the day, all well and good for him there, and doesn't feel too bad. Meanwhile, playing a little bit of catch-up there for Danon, having to get that CS back. It's not so far down just yet, but you gotta think he wants us to be a little bit more tilted in his favor. You talked about just the free farm that Kel and I could have there on this Vel'Koz, and we're already seeing, even against a Nunu gank, he's happily keeping the pressure up in that lane, and pressure wins games. We'll see whether or not this now, maybe Sejuani coming in, Charlie Day.
He was thinking about it, but that guy's so far back, the wave's not in his favor. If he's ganking, it's going to be just a very limited time gank, right? You're going to be able to get maybe 1 to 2-ish autos, potentially a charge off. It's just not that worth it, but the Nunu rolling towards the mid lane again. He is spotted out, the Vel'Koz, way deep into this side of the river now.
Yeah, that's actually going to be the connection. Beautifully done, but here's Charlie Day on the back end. I think both teams are interested in finding the quickest, cleanest, safest way out of that one. And they all do oblige. A gentleman's agreement to just walk away. Hey, sorry we shot at you. Didn't mean anything. We'll just take that one a couple steps back, get back to the farming. We'll all try to kill each other in a more civilized way at a later date. It's just how things were done in the old days.
It's a real problem, right? The problem being, Danon never has priority in the mid lane. So even when, DJ walks through, he gets a good snowball like that one, we see that it's not really connecting anything, but the bot lane's the one caught out.
Yeah, it's more Nunu engages. I mean, all over as Apto stunned right up, forces the summoner heal, and no more to come with that one. Yordle Snap Trap does disengage that one, and probably not the only factor, but certainly a straw that broke the camel's back there. They said, whoa, can't chase that one any further here. As Jeld now knows his health, knows his limits, and is playing to them. Charlie Day, though, playing to the rotations of CSU, wants to get in onto DJ Kush here, and may just have something cooking in the books. He's going to be careful about the way they do tiptoe back out of this one, and it's a fairly standard trade, just making sure the jungler does get out and away. No more surprise ganks, as Apto, without summoners, does have to be particularly mindful of exactly where DJ Kush is going to end up.
The interesting thing is, right, the Nunu reminds me a lot of the Rammus, of course, and the similarities, they don't just stop the fact that you get the repeat early rollout ganks, that they're telegraphed, that they're based on hitting things, but the Nunu can walk through the minion line like this.
Oh my goodness, he's just all over. The snowball this time, though, does not connect, and everyone is out scot-free for it at the end of the day. Jeld, though, could be in a little bit of trouble. There's no mana from the Nami here to follow up, but the flash for the audio attack, I mean, that's a lot, but it's got to actually get a fourth shot. This one's bad news here, as First Blood does come out for DJ Kush. He wants more. That's the route. They're going to be able to apply the Braum passive to this. Nicely done here, but there's the stall up. Charlie Day might get stunned himself, but will get Apto in a position where he can do more damage, where he can get this one out of here. Nice! Piltover forces the heal. Rise of Fenris would have certainly gone down to Charlie Day there as soon as those cooldowns were off. Well done by Apto to connect that right at the very edge, and props to Charlie Day as well for keeping that one exactly where it needed to be.
Almost dead here. Yeah. As soon as that Renekton hits 6, he's going to get dove under turret. But, yeah, bottom lane, this is kind of the reason that people, get punished sometimes by this Nunu pick. It's actually any jungler, realistic, right? They step too far forwards after they already got ganked, right? Now the Nunu, still in range, any jungler still in range would say, okay, you stepped forwards, you just blew flash, that's pretty much free, and as we see there, it is a relatively free punish. One more auto attack, Apto could have actually gone down, but the problem is, with Lucian on 100 HP, you don't have your quick proc for the Braum passive. If the Lucian is there, things are completely different.
I think a lot of this bottom lane priority, too, has to do with the fact that it is an Infernal Drake down there. Oh, a little bit of a pause for us here. Hopefully this gets resolved soon. Not sure why, but, we'll figure it out before too long. Either way, yeah, so a lot of the action around the bot lane maybe having something to do with each team wanting to get an early lead on that Drake control. I mean, we do have an Infernal Drake here in the pocket. That's got to count for something, right? Everyone's looking at that saying, that damage, you just love it. It's the most solo QE of any of them. You think of it, you think, oh yes, more damage, gimme, gimme, gimme. But collegiate players in particular do love fighting around this certain Drake, and so maybe that has something to do with some of the motivations. Maybe it's just that DJ Kush knows there's a lot of importance on keeping Apto on this Caitlyn down, keeping that one suppressed. They say, look, Eckhart, it's a Renekton, it's aggressive into Falcon, but it's not the biggest deal in the world, and, we'll gank Vel'Koz when we can, but, yeah, the focus should be this bottom lane. Regardless of whatever's been happening, I'm very impressed with Apto being able to stay relevant in CS after all of these repeat revolving door ganks.
Yeah, and, that's kind of been his main MO, obviously. He's ganks, he re-ganks, he ganks, he re-ganks. And because of the fact that Nami and Caitlyn are always pushing in that sense, it's not as hard to gank the lane as I think we thought it was going to be, right? I predicted this was going to be a very difficult lane to displace, but they're always so far up the lane that their summoners have gotten blown now. They've overextended, they've gotten killed once. It's not a great look. So if they start to, reassess, say, settle down, and back up the lane a little bit more, obviously he's not going to have as free of a time ganking, and he'll have to turn his attention probably elsewhere. The mid lane, of course, a great target for this. Vel'Koz flash, super, super important to bring down when he is that immobile of a mage. And so, only seeing him visit the bottom lane, surprisingly, his top lane isn't actually suffering from it, right? The Sejuani hasn't actually responded by opposite side ganking. She's responded by attempting to out-farm, outpace the Nunu in the jungle pressure, and then interrupt him when he's actually coming out of lane. The only time she's actually responded with a counter gank was that last time in the bottom lane. Even then, she didn't get a kill, but she did get a couple more summoners, which I think is also beneficial. It just matters where does Charlie Day actually gank this, right? He hasn't made super proactive ganks so far. He hasn't actually been forcing towards many of the lanes. Mid lane is super shoved back. Top lane super shoved back. Dives, potentially, though. If the Renekton starts to set up Falcon, I think that's where he could look for real pressure, especially given all the pressure bot lane by this Nunu.
I think so, and you gotta think of some of that timing on said pressure for the bot lane. I mean, once Mappy Chow hits level 6 here, gets that tidal wave, you'd like to think that VCU can just disengage at will, basically at any point. Oh yeah, you want to come gank? No, sorry. It's going to buy a lot of time for Charlie Day to get where he wants to around this map, and maybe just turning some of that to attention towards one of these solo lanes could get him where he needs to, because there's some action in the mid lane. The combo, the stun, avoiding the knock-up here, and just like that, nice snowball actually baits him into it almost. The Sub-Zero not going to get him, but the rest is Charlie Day tries to save and just can't. It's another one chalked up for Colorado State. The Rams find themselves yet another one here. 2 kills. About 400 gold in the lead there. Lanes are starting to look a little bit better, but both of those kills, keep in mind, are on to DJ Kush, so how much are these lanes benefiting, you have to wonder. Maybe gonna get sniffed out here on this Infernal Drake. He knows he's at the ward. Does he break off? Says yes. Be a little too suspicious if they came down to Non. Did not have the mana. Did not want to get involved there. And so, clearing some vision, stopping the Drake. I don't even know if Charlie Day realizes what an impact he just had.
He realistically, right, really needed to be there. Of course the kill doesn't go in his favor. Of course they still do lose the Vel'Koz, but I think the biggest loss isn't the fact that the Drake got stopped. The fact that both summoners are gone. We mentioned Vel'Koz being an extremely immobile mid laner. That hasn't changed, right? This Vel'Koz is still extremely vulnerable to repeat ganks. If he starts getting focused on, he is going to have an incredibly difficult time. The Dragon, Nunu can kind of take it at any time. So even though he stopped it once, not super critical. What is more critical is being able to protect his Vel'Koz. Setting up that ward line is what's really important, because if you can see the Nunu coming, again, early warding, he doesn't really have as great of an impact.
Certainly a large preventative measure that they're trying to get for themselves in the right direction, and this entire part of the jungle very well warded. Well, now here it comes the Nunu diving under tower. The snowball does connect, and the tidal wave just a second too late, but it does secure the kill as Geld goes down there. Rise of Ferris maybe gonna die as well, not quite. And if they can just get the vision, Apto though, no mana to secure that one, means that the Braum is going to be able to ride that door out of there with just a sliver of health left, but does stay alive at the end. And all in all, the ADs trade kills on the line here. It's just a little bit of aggression to push back. DJ Kush on the side of Charlie Day does a good job with that one, and it's a one-for-one trade-off. Both ADs coming out with something. You got to think that might just favor the Caitlyn a little bit more long-term, but Gel did get the assist off of it as well, so... Or no, sorry, Gel gave the assist with Rise of Fenris and DJ Kush both picking up the assist for themselves there. So, a little tricky the way that all does shake out. Now, back returning to things, I mean, Apto didn't die. It was just MappyChow going down again, but the gold is still there for Geld at the end of the day. He's going to turn that into just a little bit more fighting power for himself. Get back to bottom lane, and it seems like, none of these teams are ready to part with their laning phase just yet. They both say, you know what, let's drag this out as long as we can. We'll move to some more objectives a little later, but Dragon's still up, no towers down yet. Rift Herald not even been thought about by anybody. Of course, it is still in the earlier stages of its presence here on this map, but they're just happy to keep laning, keep ganking, doing the same old. Only difference, a lot of great vision coming out of the side of Virginia Commonwealth.
It's quite a bit of aggression, but this time it doesn't just go one direction, right? They actually get a kill back, and because the gold lead has been so close, even though there are a couple kills in the favor of CSU, they are down CS mostly across the board, pretty much every role in fact, and now Apto, he might be the one in trouble.
Yeah, this is not good, but the Glacial Fissure does come down. Tidal Wave support ults traded back just to stall what they can, but now it is MappyChow using both summoners to get out of that one. Eckhart in the top lane, meanwhile, in a little bit of trouble. He's going to get rooted up. They're going to keep on him, and I do think they picked that one up. Falcon on the run gets that for himself, but Charlie Day knows he smells blood in the water here. They see the Nunu top. They know they can chase it down further. It's not enough to finish out Gel, but it does get Rise of Fenris there, and that's another kill now over to the side of Virginia Commonwealth. This time into the back pocket of this Sejuani, and a lot of priority around this Infernal Drake for it.
Yeah, and that means they're probably going to get the first dragon of the game, the Infernal, in their favor. The Nunu, so much time to take it, so much time where he had priority. The teleport is coming in as well, though. Falcon might be in the middle of a lot of members.
Yeah, the dragon has gone down. Falcon wants to get more. Here comes Braum. No Glacial Fissure. Eckhart already gets it on. Falcon probably just going to be left to the wolves here, as Kalina gets that one for himself. Charlie Day getting out with a nice dash. It's going to be a couple strong blows left onto the chins of some, other members here for VCU, but they can all take it. They bring back the kill to even, and they do walk out with the Infernal Drake as well. It's a nice 1k gold lead and some change there for them. But look, CSU, they're already not done. They want to keep going. MappyChow, he's going to land the bubble, which means some damage onto Gel, but he's not going to care. He's getting in for more. Apto now, squarely on the run. The shield going to stall out so much. Not quite connected with the fourth shot. There it is, and yes, goodbye. They do take that one out for themselves yet again. This bottom lane.
A little bit late, Ooh. Right? Rise is getting low in this dive, and I gotta say, you expect Geld to be able to just take that and clean it up, but clean it up he does. More kills back in their favor. Gold lead still not having been found yet, though. So many plates have been taken to the top lane. Mid lane plates are down as well. The only plate that has ever actually been removed by the side of CSU is in this bottom lane. They will get two of them. ultimate from the Vel'Koz, you always have to be careful of this as well, because if he does get the knockup onto somebody like the Lucian, he's just going to drop ultimate. Braum's shield does nothing to stop it. Lucian will go down. So, you know, given all that, right, the Lucian has to be very careful around their mid laner. He doesn't have the range to get in. He has to make sure he has his dash up to dodge the knockup. If he does, though, and he's at the edge of the ult range, he generally won't really take more than about half HP damage.
It's the ideal situation to walk away from there for himself, certainly. And there's a lot of play to consider how tricky that gets. He's also 2 levels down to the mid laner now of Virginia Commonwealth, and that's something that he's got to be definitively aware of as he does continue. Everyone would like to pluck that 600 gold bounty off of his head. He's got half of his team's kills right now. He's definitely their advantage, and they might just be looking to stretch that one out even further, because here comes the gank. It's a nice flash for Apto there, but can he get more? DJ Kush right on him, and here comes Braum as well. Apto, no chance of that one. Danon finds it for himself, and Mappy Chow.
Mappy way deep.
Yeah, he's gotta find a way to get out of this one, because Geld is right on him. The vision is there. The tidal wave was already used, and there's just no chance. The bubble's not going to stop you from this one. Lucian picks up his 4th, the 4-1-1. He's got all the information you could ever hope to need of this league game, and yeah.
Flash.
Ooh, fairly intense. Can they get more out of this one? I don't think so. Ryze is trying to follow him there. Fenris wants to get a little bit more out of it, but not able to at the end of the day, and Winter's Bite just not stacking.
He's still not being allowed back into mid lane. The zoning right now from CSU is keeping him off this turret. The ultimate will burn down the minions in time, though. The only one taking most of it, though, Fenris, if he doesn't die, they are in a very good position, and Eckhart's going to have to turn 1 versus 2.
Ooh, DJ Kush, he's trying to not feel this one too heavily, but he knows Falcon out of mana there, and that means the shutdown comes out for 1, but the tower shot does connect at the end. He just waited a split second too long, and Falcon gets the gift kill back in his corner there. Keeping that.
It was almost, I mean, we're talking 2-3 milliseconds before that comes down, right? Frames before the heal actually gets back onto the Nunu, because he bites, and that takes about a quarter of a second before that heal comes back into his actual health bar. Didn't happen. So Renekton gets killed. The Sejuani gets the ultimate.
Oh, that's going to be a nice Glacial Fissure coming down. Rise of Fenris trying to get out of that one. Charlie Day was not caught up, and that means he can keep some damage down, but it's a nice hold-off there by Rise of Fenris and Geld to hold that one back together, especially in the face of all these minions. You thought that tower might be just on the chopping block, and it wasn't, and whew, gotta be careful. Yeah, that's the Vel'Koz approach you were talking about. You can't ever underestimate the ability there. Geld does not.
You can actually, because now that he's ulted, right, and he's that low on mana, you could actually think about fighting.
Speaking of ults, there comes the tidal wave. It just kind of slows him up for a second, and yeah, holy cow, not enough follow-up on the side of VCU, and this could be disastrous, as Mappy Chow is down already. They use it early, but it does get the room to get Geld on the backline. Apto trying to get out with the Caitlyn here, but just not enough room to run. The 90 caliber net does come in. Can Charlie Day save you? The answer is no. Rise of Fenris makes sure of that one as he's in on the backline, picks up a kill for his troubles. And moving along even further now, it's a big win coming out for Colorado State. They lose the AD, but they find 3. And Vel'Koz with no mana, going to be hard-pressed to defend anything here. He just has to back.
Yeah, I mean, the other problem is Renekton took top turret. That top turret was worth more gold than their entire fight. And the second-tier turret is now taking damage as well. He is just split-pushing. He couldn't get much done, right? When the Scion was up there, he couldn't actually shove anything in because the Scion does clear waves remarkably well. But once he leaves, once he has to fight, yeah, sure, we lost some kills. Yeah, we lost, an outer, but that's their first outer turret down. They got most of an inner and an outer turret of their own for that. They maintained their gold parity, and at this point, I mean, with the Caitlyn scaling up, she's going to pass the Lucian sooner rather than later. Then it's going to be extremely worrisome for the side of CSU.
Well, the final outer tower does go down for them. They've only found one themselves there in the mid lane, although Geld looking to come back and maybe knock on the door of this here bottom lane turret. He's not committing to the lane swap the same way. I don't think he realizes that Eckhart is here, and yeah, just finding that one out now. You're 2 levels down. You think you're strong. You say, I got 4 kills. Well, this is a 2-2 Renekton. 2 levels above you as well. I think you need to put a little bit of respect on that one. And DJ Kush actually getting CC'd pretty well. Danon is there to try to turn it back. Wants to get more. Mappy Chow almost feeling the full wrath of the combo. And if the snowball hits him, well, that will be that. The slow is there. And yes, beautifully done. DJ Kush picks that one up with some help for Danon. Just finishes what he started there, really at the end of the day. And now the Rift Herald, what they want to come away with. They say, we got the 1 pick. It's enough for us to get in here. But the teleport to the back line is coming down. Eckhart will be joining this fight. Falcon not following up on the same wavelength here. That's the Braum ultimate just to slow things down a little bit. Now the teleport coming in, but it's already too late as Danon is caught out in some bad positioning there to lock everything down. Eckhart is going in further. It's a nice ult to stall up Braum on the back line too. They're going to try to get it with the Sub-Zero, but it just doesn't happen, and more to follow now as Falcon's in some real trouble. Geld there, but way too late means that this is going to be Sion going down. And I think they just have to back off. Only the bottom lane surviving now from Colorado State. They lose a massive fight when they were not expecting to. Off of a pick that they got to start. It just doesn't pan out the way they want. This should likely mean that they can burn down the Rift Herald before it does go away. Before that Baron does come and say, get out of my swamp. No, I think they will get this one in time. It's close, but not close enough, unfortunately, for Mr. Rift Herald, who does go down, big fortunately, for Virginia Commonwealth, as they have a massive piece now in their back pocket to play with.
Yeah, that's quite a significant lead. One of the first plus 1K plus leads we've actually seen in this entire game. Infernal Drakes, even though, but, I mean, if this Rift Herald actually gets something worthwhile, right, we're talking we need to drop, get an inner turret, and at least get a charge off would be ideal, right? Inner turret plus charge onto an inhibitor turret, set up a split push with the Renekton to do it that way, and realistically, let the Renekton with the Rift Herald take one side of the map, take your other 4 members, go to the other side of the map, and as soon as they start hitting the turret, just hit the turret yourselves. They should get at least 2 inners that way. Realistically, they have to commit 2 people to stop the Rift Herald as well, so you're looking at the better part of 3 turrets at the very least.
Well, not the pickup
assuming
that
they play
for.
it
Yeah.
that way, right? They don't have to play it that way. They could full group, they could walk with Rift Herald, get 2 turrets guaranteed, and make one of them an inhibitor.
I think they'd be happy with anything that's going to stretch this lead, but you're right, the efficiency, the absolute attention to detail, taking up what they can here. More to come with the snowball, perhaps, as it just goes right on in, right on out as well. But they do stall up Sejuani there. That's a nice tidal wave, but it is stopped up. Fenris gives his life for it, though, and that's more ice coming from the Sejuani now, just to freeze things along. Eckert has to pop that stopwatch, has to be careful. Falcon, though, getting down. This is the front line. He's getting burned right through. Kalini is there, and more to come, as that one is DJ Kush going down. Can you get more out of this one? Geld, though, trying to hold them off, and yet again, he stays alive. The rest of his team is down. Danon, the rest of the damage, at least it's their wave clear that survived, right? But still, this
only
is
part
big.
of their wave clear. I mean, think about it, right? With the actual Rift Herald being spawned in the top lane, they can't stop both waves at once, right? They need to make a decision, they need to make a call right here, right now. Rift Herald, he's not going to go down quietly, and so is Danon. Kalani takes him out, and this is just going to be an absolute tragedy at this point. The turret's going to be just completely demolished in the top lane. The middle lane might go down as well.
Just absolutely wailed on. I mean, this is Virginia Commonwealth breaking this game wide open, 13-13 in kills, and only, I say in quotation marks, a 4K gold lead to their name here at 22 minutes, with other things being equal. Besides these towers, that's the real advantage VCU has. We talked about their potential mid-game siege. Once this Caitlyn got to a good point, once this Vel'Koz got to feeling comfortable, well, here it is. It's come online. They've got some big bounties on their heads to prove it. They're going to exit back through the Drake. Maybe tempt to fight here. Colorado State coming right out of base. Eckert has to be careful, but maybe not, because, hey, the Braum Q not landing, not going to be enough. Maybe having to sacrifice this Ocean Drake for it. You have to wonder if he can stall in enough time. Eckert has to be careful here, but if he can just keep them off this dragon, it'll give time for the rest of his team to get there, to hold them right off along, and maybe pick up the Ocean for themselves. It could be another fight. We're looking at seeing brewing here. This is Sejuani around the backside. Dragon's going to go down, but that's a stun up onto Rise of Fenris. Does the fight break out? The Vel'Koz ult over the wall, not enough, but they do lock up Lucian. It's a little late, not enough time, and a nice tidal wave to stall him up continually. Doesn't get a chance to combo. Here's a little bit more. The Sub-Zero coming down is going to slay Charlie Day. Maybe more here as they do get Eckert as well. The Renekton does fall, but Falcon gives his life for that one. Gale getting kind of these right in onto Apto. Nice brush play to get the shutdown for himself and take the kill lead back. So far, it's a 3-for-1 favor to Colorado State. They get the objective as well, but you got to think they got to call it here. They have to back and regroup, and Virginia Commonwealth, they want to stall this one out. They know they can, too.
Yeah, they certainly do have time to actually...
One bubble.
Maybe Kehlani might be in a bunch of trouble, but nah, the Noon is already gone.
I mean, look at that. Beautifully done to stall that up. The bubble there, the full combo from Vel'Koz just tore DJ Kush in half there. Not a chance to get back on that one. And I think everyone's just shaking out saying, okay, what did we do wrong that last fight? I don't think either team's going to come away too happy with the way it went for them, especially now DJ Kush kind of capping that entire string of events with that death there. He'll be back in 10 seconds, though. Older, wiser, smarter. Ready to learn from his mistakes and come back to this one. It's all about the Baron at this point in the game. That's where everyone's putting their vision. That's where everyone's starting to move this conversation. All those little wards around the Dragon Pit, soon to disappear as they do get phased out for Baron priority. Will be coming up before too long. We're knocking on the door. 25 minutes in this game. 31 kills on the docket means this thing has been an absolute bloodbath thus far. I would not be surprised to see the action just continuing around as these teams, they don't really need an excuse to fight. I think Colorado State need to make the fight happen now. The split push happening against them in that bot lane. Eckert with the teleport is just going to be a threat anywhere. So I would not be surprised to see the engage happen soon. We'll see if this is it now. The snowball not going to land. The teleport coming onto the backside, but is it in enough time? Well, it just might be. There's the tidal wave coming down. Falcon is already dead, and more to come as that one is taken out. He is gone. DJ Kush as well. Some problems already on the back line. Eckert trying to get out where he can, but Apto and Kehlani are so healthy, and you got to wonder if the same can be said for these towers soon, or this Baron. Whichever one they do turn their mind to, you got to think Virginia Commonwealth are going to have a great shot at.
This is probably Virginia Commonwealth just setting up for at least most of the Baron take. They have a great ward line. They have good control so far. They are starting it up, and with only 3 members to contest, no Smite, no Nunu.
Right.
This is going to be a very, very tall order. Oh my. Rise of Fenris. I mean, these guys are getting triple zoned by 1 Vel'Koz. There's no chance they can get into the Baron in time.
We gotta think, regardless of how this game plays out.
Levi Sion, 1 versus 5. We've seen this before.
He wants to go in for it. Baron's a little
they
over
back
under
off,
half
instant
health.
ETP's in.
Wow. What a threat. They
that
didn't
was
know.
Enough.
Yeah, they didn't know where the rest of the members were. They don't have vision as far deep as they'd like to. That word is telling. Just had some other lapses there that left things questionable. Said we cannot take the risk. They do back it off. Baron lives to fight another day, as do all the remaining members here. Everyone's still up. Everyone's still at it. And this gold lead of 4K, it was good around 18 minutes, 21 minutes. Now you're starting to think, how much does it really matter? I mean, we're seeing the fight potential come out of the side of Colorado State, of the Rams here, and the towers standing should actually equal back if they can start to get some of it. The problem is pushing through the pressure, but all that to say, it feels like the clock is starting to tick just a little bit now for this Virginia Commonwealth side of things. They can scale better, sure, but they're not getting the gold they need to. They're not getting the leads they need to. And you got to think the door is left slightly ajar for Colorado State to pull this one back pretty easily.
Yeah, this is it's not easy to come back from, right? Certainly not, but it's also not unheard of.
Would have been a better word,
right? This is very close to being a game in which a fight goes CSU's way, right? The gold lead certainly is starting to become a little bit scary. The Vel'Koz, though, 1 actual stack away from a fully completed Magi's. If that Magi's completes, he's going to get even stronger, of course. He's going to get even more unstoppable. He has not been assailed in nearly 15 minutes, right? There hasn't been a time at which he's been close to dying in that time period. And so what I gotta say is, if they can find a way onto the Vel'Koz, if they can kill him, yeah, there's certainly a way they come back into this game. But again, you look at the tank line, Renekton, Sejuani. How does the Lucian kill either of those? The answer is he doesn't. So killing the Vel'Koz first, breaking open their backline, getting picks onto it, that is their chance, their opportunity to win this game, and the only way CSU realistically gets back into this.
And yeah, they need to find it, not just probably once, but maybe 2 times, because any losses that they experience, keep in mind now, we're at a late enough point in the game where these death timers could be so punishing that you don't get anything back off of that. Another tower going down, the 6th and final outer turret. Technically an inner turret, but not quite to the base turrets yet. They want to get in onto this Vel'Koz. They're committing a lot for it right now, but it does maybe keep them there long enough. Try to get more. The tidal wave is great. Stall up, get some time to get the ult off, and how does he live through that? A double kill is already off the rip. It's a nice block on the ace in the hole. Lucian already over the wall, trying to just make sure Danon gets out of here safely, but he may have to worry about his own health here as Charlie Day and Eckert are right in on top of him, and Charlie Day picking up the kill. It's a massive takeaway now coming out for the side of the Virginia Commonwealth University. I mean, so much pressure, so much power here. You got to think this is an inhibitor for sure. Danon can't hold it. Falcon can't hold it. The base, the towers, they can't hold it. Minions not doing anything. And that's absolutely going to be the inhibitor coming down just shy of 30 minutes. Maybe they find something else, but I don't think the waves are there for it. They're just going to back, reset, try this one again, because 15 seconds before that Lucian comes back around, he's still the threat that can stop this if they play it right. But Virginia Commonwealth just took a big step closer to coming out in this game ahead.
Yeah, this is... It's definitely, right? It's definitely getting a little bit worse. CSU, they had such a good early game, but it hasn't looked so good since then, right? They've gone past the point where Lucian is super strong. They've gone past the point where, Syndra really can deal damage to somebody like a Sejuani. At 2-3 items, she is incredibly tanky. She's incredibly hard to bring down. And there's just no real way, right? I keep saying this, but there's just no real way they can actually deal damage to the front line. We see this time and time again. That last fight, it just keeps happening, right? They keep not having the damage, getting run through, being brought down. And if the second Baron goes over to the side of VCU, I think that will be it. I think that will be the end of the game. They just have to close it out with Baron and then walk towards the inhibitor. Get 2, maybe 3 of them if you really think you need it, and then take the Nexus turrets, and that's it, right? You have the siege damage, you have the Vel'Koz zone, you have plenty of team fight. All you gotta do is just make it all happen. Nunu has no flash. There's no plan, so he has to walk all the way in.
Ooh, Falcon in with the first big engage we've seen out of him in a while, and that could be Vel'Koz going down. They do find him. Can they get more out of that one? Mappy Chow gets a kill back onto Falcon, but the fight is still in full swing. It's a nice backline presence, though, coming out. Charlie Day not going to be able to survive this one. Geld is just going to run circles around it, and Danon takes the credit. Apto has to get out of here. That's going to be Mappy. Yeah. Just giving up the ghost for it, decides, hey, look, I got to make something happen here. I got to stall them off. Let my friends survive. It's top 10 anime sacrifices.
With the Renekton and the Caitlyn up, this is a huge mistake. They're going to go down if they stay way too long in this pit. The Baron's doing all the damage.
And there are minions in their base. Keep in mind, these Nexus Towers could be in trouble. Apto and Geld, they trade one another. Eckhart maybe getting in onto DJ Kush as well. Keep in mind, they have to take him down twice. And they know it. It's just going to be a stall. But look at this. That's one Nexus Tower already down.
They're both going to go down. They don't have time to back before these Nexus turrets drop.
Oh my. DJ Kush.
They have a chance.
He's trying to stall this one out. 32 minutes almost here. Looks like they're going to be able to save this tower. Holy cow, what great stall tactics coming out. I mean, they lost the fight, but they're still winning this war. Virginia Commonwealth doing such a good job holding that out. And yeah, you got to think Colorado State a little ambitious perhaps on that Baron. This is the desperation that they're feeling. They know what the minions are flooding into their base. The other team's so strong. And how often are you going to get another chance to kill the Vel'Koz like that? He's 9-2. And he very well remains just those 2 deaths for the rest of the game, because I don't think that's the kind of opportunity that he's going to give up another time.
It's potentially going to happen, right? Because the reason that it happened, Vel'Koz was standing a bit too far up in the team fight line. And the only thing that catches him is one engage, right? Sion comes in. That's it, right? That's the only thing that caught him. So if he gets caught again, if he's standing in the wrong spot, if his tank line doesn't block once, then he can go down again. We've seen it time and time, but the Nunu's already going to go down.
Oh, DJ Kush just slain right there, and that's a 45-second death timer 45 seconds of death around the Baron, around the Dragon, around your base defense. I mean, that is inexcusably bad. Now, for Colorado State to give up just such a freebie like that one, because the Dragon already taken out and away, they've still got 25 seconds. They might make a beeline. I don't think they can. Ooh, just getting the wave pressure back, just getting where they need to, and all things considered, giving up the pick is bad, but just an Infernal Drake this late in the game going over, it could be worse, right? Obviously, the 6%, that's going to be scaling a lot now, everyone around that 3-item mark. I mean, that's a big deal, but it's not as bad as the Baron. He's lucky it happened where it did, but now, oh, bad news for him here. They're already knocking on the door yet again. Colorado State have to throw everything at this line of defense, because if they lose another inhibitor, especially the bottom one so far away from Baron, it just becomes so much taller of an order.
Yeah, this is... I don't really see a way in which this actually works out. The problem is, again, they keep finding the wrong fight. The Nunu goes down for free. They don't have any kind of damage. They don't have any kind of pick. They did get a great engage, but they need the Sion to do that a second time. That's just not going to happen, and there is the Vel'Koz damage again.
He knows exactly where to play and how to play it. This is before the tidal wave comes down. Means that is going to be bad news for Falcon. He gets his wings clipped right out and away. More to come on this one as DJ Kush is already trying to stay alive out of that one. Geld and Danon in the backline, though. Punish Charlie Day for the push in. Eckhart, though, maybe not feeling it the same way. He still has that GA, the tower, just stalling him up a little bit. It's a nice stun, and Mappy Chow actually will lose his life for it. Beautifully done there, but Geld, can you turn this one into more? The barrier says no! And Kalini leaves him with a parting gift to find out just a little bit more. 35 minutes into this game. The death timers are huge. Another 45 seconds for Geld. Can they get more? The inhibitor will reset top lane as well, likely going to go down.
3 inhibitors. This is 3 inhibitors here.
But they're going to have to back, right?
This is just 3 inhibitors. They have to get 3 inhibitors here. You think the Renekton just walks up top, just pushes it in, he gets unless he just goes down.
Yeah,
okay.
He didn't even really make the effort for top. He just kind of ran right up against Braum thinking, I can kill Rise of Fenris. Well, surprise, no you can't.
Well,
just
can
escaping,
dodge.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad, though. The flash forward, they
Winter's
know they
Bite.
can get it. Should have another Winter's Bite before this one all does expire, too. Nice dash out of it, but yeah, that's almost certainly, without the Blast Cone's help, going to be the
They're
reset.
just here.
Wow.
They're still going to get the catch. Yeah. He is still going to go down if they have anything to say about it. The problem is they have nothing to say about it.
They got to run back and take care of these minions. Yeah, they can't leave Geld there all alone. They don't want to chase it any further. And it's so far away from Baron. He was doing such a good job leading them towards the bottom side of that map, right? Meant that the Baron opportunity is there. He's got teleport. He doesn't care. The second he gets back to base, he'll be there for the Baron pressure, the power coming in. This is where Virginia Commonwealth are circling like sharks in the water. This is where Colorado State are circling the drain, because this Baron is going to go down without any contest. No chance. They had the ward. They don't even care. The vision doesn't matter, because the Baron was too fastly slain. And now, just the top lane. It's the last
They're waiting
march
in the
to the
Shaco Bush,
sea.
but that's not where the team is going to go. They're going to realize it very soon that all of these members are up top. They have to rotate, and now they're not the ones catching. They're the ones that could potentially get caught.
And it's Geld all the way in on the front. He gets punished back for it, though. He's staying out of the Vel'Koz ultimate, and that's good enough to start, but the redemption does hold Charlie Day in the conversation a little longer, long enough perhaps to make sure Falcon goes down. Eckhart, meanwhile, on the sidelines of things, gets a little bit of damage but doesn't care. Apto is the real priority that he's protecting here, and he doesn't even need it. Says, Mr. President, get down. No, I'm getting down on these guys, as Geld's going to go down to this one. Kalini picking that one up, and it's another one. DJ Kush is the last surviving member, but the game is ending. There's just no chance. 37 minutes. And they finally pick it up. 31 kills to the 22, and despite the best efforts of Colorado State, Virginia Commonwealth absolutely smashed their way through game number 1.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting match. I mean, you want to talk about the unorthodox style, right? Something we didn't expect coming out. We didn't expect these guys to, sort of bring back the front-to-back composition, but apparently that's exactly what they're going to do. VCU say, okay, we got a Vel'Koz, right? He does true damage. He does insane amounts of true damage. Yeah, the Caitlyn's a crit ADC. That's not really what matters, right? What matters is we have a team fight line. We're going to hold it every single fight. If you can get back there, you're rewarded, right? There's just candy for the taking. Mm-hmm. But They can't get back there. The team fight that they drafted, the team composition that they drafted, Scion, the Nunu, these are waves crashing against the endless rock jetty that is VCU's front line.
Outstanding game, if not a little long and grindy, but, well, Colorado State made VCU work for it at the end of the day. They did not just give up at any point. You can at least say that about them. Fought to the bitter end.
About game one.
Yeah.
Got more games coming, right? That was only game one. If you guys thought that was a slugfest, we got more, right? There's going to be at least one more game, right? I'm thinking, realistically, if CSU go back to the drawing board, they say, hey, picking up a crit ADC, Tristana, the Vayne even, right? The Vayne would have been insane in that team, right? You're talking about shredding the tank line, not being able to do so. If you have a tank line of your own instead, right, you get a top laner that can do that, you have the Scion, perfect, right? Run him into the Sejuani, watch the Sejuani pop, true damage to the face, Tristana, whatever you got to do to yourself. Jinx, Tristana, I'm liking the Varus even, anything that works, get that damage, get it in on the fight. Vayne is fantastic as well. I think they can switch this up immensely and still do fantastically.
We'll see if they can make that adjustment, as they do need a couple more seconds to talk about this draft, get it all figured out. We're going to give them just a little bit of a break, and when we get back, we'll see if this series continues or concludes. Virginia Commonwealth draw first blood, Colorado State, they'll be looking to come back. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around with us through the break there. We've given the players some time. We've given them the chance to get back in exactly where and how they need to, and that means we're not even going to waste a little bit of time. Draft number 2 coming right your way. Colorado State versus Virginia Commonwealth. This time, Colorado State to the blue side. Can they fix the problems that they had this first pick?
It's real simple, right? You take the Vel'Koz, gone. You take the Vayne, that's yours. Done. Fixed it. Everything's good. So, I like those as the adaptations. I think you can drop, in terms of bans, I would drop the Ezreal ban. Simply because of where Ezreal's currently at. He's now just Ezreal. He's not, like, crazy. He's not all over the place. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Ezreal was banned by the side of VC.
Right.
Not CSU. So CSU has to drop their...
it was Anivia, it was Lulu, and...
well, they banned Vel'Koz,
yep.
So...
Yeah, they banned
at the
Anivia,
very
they
least,
banned
they
Lulu,
have made the right adaptation. That's the only ban I would switch.
Well, looks like that's going to be, all they had to take away from this one to begin with. And Vi still consistently banned out now over on the side.
I wouldn't let Vi through. I think that letting Vi through is essentially giving up not just a comfort champ, but potentially all the early. Right? The early game is super difficult to consistently win. And if you have a champion that can just one-shot your jungler, if they can win all the 2v2s, potentially even 1v2s, you really don't want to let it go that way. So, banning out the Vi, targeting this jungle, so far, pretty good ideas. The Lulu pickup as well, something that they banned out last time, now selecting it, could potentially nullify any aggressive early junglers. It can also potentially buff the ability of the 2v2, the Polymorph, extremely potent. The Jinx, though, is hard to counter out. They're going to have to pick something up along the lines of... Jinx doesn't have very many counters. See, this is the problem, right? The historical Jinx matchup was always, you pick a Tristana, and then you both kind of scale out. You really don't try to duel her all too much. You could also go the way of the Caitlyn, the Ferris, the Ashe, maybe even. None of these are that consistent, though, because Jinx is just a scale pick. She tends to consistently get her 2 to 3 items at a certain point. She might be slightly delayed, whatever it is, but she always gets the 2 to 3 items if you let her. So allowing her to get to that point in the game, probably not the best idea. I'd expect some kind of a slightly more aggressive ADC if they really do want to shut down Sivir. Not exactly what I'm thinking of, right? The Jinx doesn't really care about the Sivir spell shield. She does pretty well into her in terms of the auto attack range advantage with the rockets. And once you get through Nons, this is no longer that even of a lane. Ivern, though, completely different pick for Charlie Day. He's trying to go for jungle control. He's trying to go for buffing his AD, potentially buffing his top laner. And when you see the Cho'Gath, you're thinking, is that really the right kind of pick? You know, yeah, it was banned out by the side of VCU, but it's still Cho'Gath. You know, it's still not... Okay, I just thought that the Nunu was banned by CSU, and I got really confused there because there was already an Ivern on the field. It's not the case. But the Cho'Gath, right, as a top laner, he's not overbearing. He doesn't just win the lane. He doesn't just demolish that many picks. Very interesting to see it banned out. Very interesting to see it first rotation by Falcon. You know, usually you pick jungler for a very obvious reason. It gets targeted afterwards, you know? All your good junglers then get removed off the field, so DJ now gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. I'm thinking he's probably gonna opt into maybe the Zac. That has had some recent success, not supremely widespread, of course, but it is an alright pick. The Nocturne, also available. I think that's also fantastic for shutting down the Jinx. Into Janna, still very difficult. These are not easy picks, right? These are not easy lanes to gank. You know, Janna, Jinx with the potential Ivern, and now the Fiora top lane.
Too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to see, right?
No.
You'd love to have the Fiora picked right here and your jungler selected. You know, if you have your jungler locked in, you say, okay, we can play the Riven. We can play, you know, these other damaged champions that can actually beat out Fiora potentially. The Singed, some people have been floating as a potential way to play around fighters because, you know, you don't need to full proxy, but you also don't need to interact with them. Kassadin. Now the lock-in for CSU, though.
Yeah, they're going to pick that one up and finalize an answer out now for the jungle, and I would be surprised.
I don't know if I like that. That's... If they lock this in, right?
It's got to just be a cheeky hover, right?
Yeah, that's much, much better. I like this a lot more because, after all, right, what DJ did last time, he repeat ganked lanes, right? Hecarim is one of the kings of repeat ganking lanes. There's 3 of them. You have your Camille, no longer in meta. You have your Rammus, fantastic at it, and then you have your Hecarim, right? The Nunu, not usually one of those repeat gankers. He was kind of manipulated into being such last game, This is much more that style, though, right? It's all about the early engage. It's all about the ghost in, get the kills, half health them, and then let your lanes do the rest.
You're looking to see Orianna, the last pickup for the mid lane, will be running down against Kassadin. We'll see how that one does shake out for itself. It's a pretty well understood matchup, I feel like, by both parties. Neither going to be too much of a stranger to the other in this particular game, and all well and good. 30 seconds left. As these two teams do start to wrap things up, get ready to rock and roll into this game. Ivern versus Hecarim. It's going to be a game of aggression there. Cho'Gath versus Fiora. Maybe a little bit slower in that top lane. Kassadin and Ori, well, we know how that one should go. And already, Zeta, you broke down so much of that Sivir versus Jinx matchup, that run that, we thought we would see there, as it all does come down now. Lulu versus Janna as well. Nothing too crazy, as we are just going to give them a second to load back into the game before we do run it all the way down. Game number 2, like we said, Colorado State, they're on the ropes now. Virginia Commonwealth, not Virginia State.
VCU.
Yes, are looking to run this one to ground. Finish it in 2 games. If it's anything like last game, right? I mean, would be surprised if it weren't a hell of an effort coming out from Colorado State to make sure that doesn't happen. But do you feel like they made the adaptations necessary in this draft to prevent it?
So, sort of, right? The real problem I have is I don't like the Sivir, right? The Sivir is, people say it's a staple, people say it's consistent, people say it's, this, that, and the other thing. I'm personally not a Sivir fan. I don't think that it has everything that you need in an ADC. I could be proven wrong, of course. The Hecarim, fantastic with her ultimate. So many of these champions benefit so heavily from her just being, a consistent damage threat. The problem I always have is when you pick it into things like the Jinx, when you pick it into auto attackers, exclusive auto attackers, heavy auto attackers, range advantage auto attackers, Caitlyn, Jinx,
He'll be fine.
Danon, he's not flashing, but that's just because he's got Cho'Gath. When you pick it into these things, though, right, it generally gives the advantage over to the other side. And especially when it's a double enchanter lane, you really don't want that. You want to be able to say, yes, we can win the lane. Yes, we can force the fights. Yes, we can, take the 2v2. And that's the reason I don't like Sivir, is because she doesn't take the 2v2 very well. She is a very competent late game AD carry. She's one of the best, in fact, because of her consistent wave clear, of course, because of her ability to just win fights, with the bouncing blade through everybody. But Runan's Jinx does as well. So, it's not as big an advantage as they once thought, and that means the Kassadin is going to have to make up huge for it, right? The Kassadin, if he steps up, if he does his part, he will be the guy to carry this team, right? Danon versus Kiliani, if one of these two starts to win, that's pretty much the team that's going to have the advantage.
You talk about this Sivir having to play into the 2v2 not so well, and you think, based on last game, do you really feel like Sivir is going to have to play this 2v2? I mean, how much did we see DJ Kush just living in this bottom lane? If he can maybe play that one out, you're right, I think he can come around, be a huge factor. This game will tilt the way of Colorado State, but to your point from earlier, if Danon can't hang in this mid lane, if he can't get off to those early advantages, well, who knows what the outcome could be there.
That's why I think the jungler should be living in mid lane, right? If DJ's living in mid, if DJ's forcing, helping his Kassadin out, getting him to 6, getting him advantages, getting him flashes, the game's going to go much better for CSU, right? They need, specifically, their 2 at 16 win champs to be 16, right? Kassadin hits 16, he has a huge advantage. If Sivir hits 16, she better have 2.5 items, potentially 3 at the very minimum. And then she's super strong as well, so his lane priorities should be a little bit different, but they're just not.
Already here, though, on to Apto. That's going to be the Ignite coming down as well. Means the kill, the first blood comes out for Geld there. And it's a strong early game start yet again for Colorado State. We saw what enough time and pressure was able to turn that back to now for Virginia Commonwealth, but either way, that's got to be a start that they're fairly happy with. Especially this time going on to the Sivir.
I mean, realistically, right, the 2 gank is always kind of under-respected. You know, if you can pull it off, of course you're going to have a great early game. Of course you're going to be fantastic. CSU did this multiple times last game, though, right? They got advantages. They pushed early. They got kills. Their jungler was more proactive, and it just didn't matter, right? The problem was, it wasn't that they didn't get kills. It wasn't that they didn't, you know, do what they needed to. It was that they didn't convert with it. That's the real problem. They didn't take their advantage in the kill lead and turn it into objective. So they need to get bot lane rolling if they're going to do this again. If Hecarim's going to be down here again, DJ needs to get bot lane rolling, translate that into dragons or turrets very, very quickly. If they can do that, they have shown that they are a superior early game team, and so they need to translate it well.
What? The Hecarim gank not coming out the way they wanted it to. Eckhart staying safe there, and Eckhart's top laning ability, especially on the Renekton last game, you know, he did have the 1 or 2 deaths in lane when the ganks did come on through, and that machine got winding up for him, but at the end of the day, it was fairly safe. It's a nice trap up. Good snare to get Ivern in there. Apto picking up a huge kill here as Charlie Day just snuck right in, made the most of that red buff, and says goodbye to it now as it does time out, but what won't time out as quickly are some of this pressure that they've been able to build in the CS now that Apto's getting caught up on, especially if they can crash more of this against the tower, keeping them back on Geld on the back foot there, but staying fairly even, all things considered. They just want to keep this pressure alive, and I think
they want one play. I think one play's a pretty good advantage. 2 is a bit greedy, right? They really don't have very much AD, they don't have very much attack speed, there's no Ardent Sensor on either one of these shield champs. Once they get that, yeah, it's going to be a pretty good game, right? Because I think Charlie Day, recognizing the fact that he's not actually as proactive as DJ is, that he's not actually routing as well, he's taking the other side of the coin. He's saying, okay, yeah, I got a really good early game gank off, right? Fantastic. But now that that's happened, I can go back to farming, I can go back to pressuring, I don't have to worry about anything else. So I'm just going to get the support items, I'm going to scale out, I'm going to let my really strong rest of my team handle it for me. And that's not a bad plan at all, because he has certainly had his teammates have certainly shown that they can step up, deal the damage necessary. All he needs to do is provide the CEC and the utility for them to actually get access.
Easier said than done in some of these situations.
Speaking of getting access.
Yeah. We want to find more access here. Right in the Mappy Chow's face. Beautiful.
Flash already.
Boomerang, yeah, forcing the flash out and the bouncing blade there. Going to hurt that one tremendously as well. So Mappy Chow just on death's door manages to survive only barely, but survival is survival all the same, and a fair back to base now will be the case for both bot laners here. Other side of Virginia Commonwealth still feeling the 1-1 trades, all in the bot lane, both ADs having their way with all this. And see now if we can turn this
realistically into... Yeld is just kind of making me eat my own words. I was like, oh yeah, Sivir, not that good early game, not all about that pressure. If you land Boomerang Blades, she does insane amounts of damage, but the thing is, usually you don't see that many of them land, of course.
What a root. Beautifully done. Charlie Day may have just bought himself enough time to get to the blast cone.
You have to hit the blast cone before he hits the blast cone. You have the movement speed.
I know. It's you don't just wait and watch and see if he gets the angle, because he will every time. But that's okay. You pick it up where you can. At the end of the day, you still bop the jungler back a little bit. You have given up your position. They know where DJ Kush is. They know they can play a little bit aggressively on this turret, get some wards down. That's going to mean, hey, look, this is a big tri-brush clear. Very confidently now made by Mappy Chow. Those are the consequences of those actions. Sometimes if you don't get the kill for them, it's a small step backwards, but Virginia Commonwealth turned their small steps into a bunch of big leaps towards the end of the last game there, and still having the priority up. I mean, keep in mind, best of 3 series. Colorado State would need to win the next 2 in a row. It's a tall order.
I gotta say, though, they have the early game to do it, right? They have always, you know, now they're pressuring, but they're also in the CS department. They're doing well in that. You know, they're getting the lanes that they needed. The Cast and the Orianna, still a very good matchup. You know, these aren't the same losing matchups they had last time, and it shows.
Cassidy not up in CS, but not so far down, only about 5 to 8, depending on where the wave is at any given moment. Keeping that one fairly consistent, and yeah, not having the same bit of an uphill battle that he did have last game around. And now, So these players starting to cross that level 6 threshold. It's where we basically saw group and fight and group and fight and group and fight, and didn't slow down till the very end. See if we kind of get that ping-ponging style of League of Legends out again. Hecarim sitting on a big ward, doesn't realize that DJ Kush is announcing his presence to the house a little bit too much this time around, and Charlie Day waiting on the wings in case they try anything bold with a dive. Don't think that one's going to happen this time. And it's a slower start, certainly, for this one. You got to give Virginia Commonwealth a little bit of credit because you get the feeling that Colorado State want to play that same aggressive style, want to just get these ganks popping off every which way that they can, and DJ Kush has been shut down on that 2 or 3 times now, not able to have that same impact.
Yeah, and that's kind of just because, engaged in the top lane, Fiora, trying to get that last tick of the ultimate, not able to find it though.
Falcon back. Just enough time, yeah. He'll be okay on that one, and happy for it.
It's kind of just how the Fiora into a bruiser tankish guy works though, you know? You hit him, you ultimate, and if it's Cho'Gath specifically, he heals up and then you repeat. You know, most of the other ones don't heal up as easily, but he is one of those that does.
Look at that chunk, beautifully done by DJ Kush, but no follow-up there by Danon. Nothing enough to take out at the end of the day, so gonna feeling a little lower for this one, but nice potential pinch-off here to get Falcon. He is out in just enough time, but the flash still just forced for posterity there, and still thinking okay. The turret shielding something there. The Hecarim around the back, though. Apto, not a lot of mana either. Not going to be able to get the traps. Nappy Chow locking that one down. Stick to the tower. It's your best chance to stay alive, and Rise of Fenrir knows it. He's going to get out of that one, and everyone walking out A-okay with the last minion dying at just perfect amounts of time. What a gank under the tower there. We were just saying, hey, DJ Kush not mobilizing as well as he was this last time. There he goes in the bot lane, but at what cost?
Right. I mean, the cost might be
the Rift Herald.
This Rift Herald, but the thing is, again, right, super difficult for the Ivern to take. It's going to take him about forever!
Oh!
Unless that happens. The Lulu goes down. It's going to be 2 men now on the Dragon, dropping quite low. Oh, they brought the Kassadin over, so that will go down. They do get themselves the first drag of the game. They give up the Rift Herald. We'll see which one's more impactful. Obviously, usually it's the Rift, right? If the Shelly takes the turret, I mean, Mountain, sure, it's important, but it's not 0 to 100
actually,
turret
too.
down, right?
I think Mountain Drake is going to kind of cover up some of the gaps that Sivir naturally has as a champion.
Right? I mean, her sieging potential is not actually super low. The problem is her range, right? So, it being, you know, Kiliani is dropping quite low. I'm not sure if he wants to stick around like this in the mid lane so long, because if he does, he could actually have a bit more than he expected with this cast, right? The Kassadin is a champion that can take down Orianna. He can take down most mages pretty easily. So with the Ivern waiting in the wings, he's going to feel a little bit more confident to stay, but even so, I mean, Danon having a much stronger showing simply because of the matchup, right?
Yeah.
Putting aside the fact that he's playing a little bit better, the matchup is just fantastic.
Feeling great about it all the way through, and
Falcon already here.
Yeah, Falcon wanted to come in for a little bit of a surprise attack and didn't quite find it. Yeah, long unperturbed string of vision down through the river, but does get spoiled out by that one pesky control ward. Make sure that no surprises coming up for Kiliani. There is okay to stay out at the end of the day. And now maybe another gank potential here in this bottom lane, but I think DJ Kush is just going to back it out in enough time. Eckert just feeling the pressure, already wants to chase that one down just to push him back. Charlie Day was there, but they knew the ward was an option. They wanted to take it out before anyone got into too much trouble with it. And all good to go. The tower, though, feeling the pressure here, feeling the heat in the bottom lane. There's this Mountain Drake in action as well as a big old minion wave. Rift Herald, though, getting popped out. You wanted to see which would be more impactful. If they can stop this Herald now, maybe, but not potentially, before this tower does go down. It's going to require engagement from DJ Kush right now, and I don't know if he wants to go that far because he's already down to about half health, and this is going to mean yet another plate coming down, but first turret already taken away. Sivir did tick it up, so manifestations of that last discussion we have. Looks like, yeah, Rift Herald not put to the best use of all time. Sounds like the
turret hasn't even gone down, right?
No, yeah.
So it's not even that the Rift Herald just, you know, it wasn't fantastic. It's the Rift Herald didn't get anywhere
wasteful,
near what it
yeah.
was supposed to get done.
And they thought they could have it, but Ivern just not the damage they needed. And you say, okay, we're going to stack on an Orianna to that. It's not exactly the tower killing force of the century, but this might be the champion killing force of the century. Geld is trying to get more out of this one. No mana for himself here, but is super sized, bigger than the Cho'Gath even at this point. Take that for what you will. He's going to get knocked back. Not enough time to get through what he needs to here. And 13 and a half minutes. Eckhart left alone in this top side. No teleports. Means that this tower should be taken out relatively free now. I don't think there's any way of stopping that one over onto the side of Colorado State.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's, oh. Plates down. Top lane. Fior's still pushing it, right? It's not down yet, but still trading back and forth. The Kassadin only on the Roa. The Orianna not even with her first item yet. And that Luden's still quite far away. And Falcon, he doesn't really take damage anymore. He's got himself the Tabi, of course. And with that Bramble, I mean, that's just a lot of armor. Fior doesn't really do much of anything to it.
Yeah, feeling fairly confident about it. Just staying up there. Not too worried about dealing with Eckhart at this point. Just wants to farm, just wants to continue to get relevant, get big. He's still a small old Cho'Gath, needs to find himself a little bit more health in the mix as well, so time will tell whether or not he gets it. As a lane swap, full initiate now. Well done. Geld's going to have a huge advantage being there first. This is going to be a beatdown onto the turret now. The likes of Virginia Commonwealth, they're not going to have a whole ton of options for themselves here to save this one. I mean, they're coming up with the Ivern, they're coming up with Apto and Mappy Chow, but there's not in enough time, I don't think. And so really, their just presence is only going to stop this from losing yet another turret, as they've taken 2 turrets now over on the side of Colorado State. I think that's more than they got last game. I think they only ended up with the 1 mid lane outer last game. This time, they've already found more Apto. Having to flash out of that one, but it's a teleport bait from the backline. Kiliani in with not enough with the shockwave. Nice dodge by Ryza Fenris, but it's not going to be enough to get him out of this one. Surely just buys him a little bit of time for Denan to get the Rift Walk out of there. Geld, though, perhaps not so lucky. A good spell shield, but the slow is still there. Doesn't have the health to continue on. So Mappy Chow and Charlie Day are going to back that one off.
If DJ finds out that Mappy is half HP, he's going to go on him. Right? Seeing Mappy, seeing Apto, I think this is... It should be a go button. Yeah, with no turret here, he is going in through the backside. Going farther around. Predator's up.
Oh, beautifully done. Apto in some real trouble there. Just fleeing out of that one. The redemption may have just stalled it out in enough time, but Denan was there to throw out the
running
void.
at the Janna. They're pinging into the bush. I think they know exactly where she's at.
Yeah, canceling the back two. Just resigning to death immediately. Nothing you can do. Well done. Well done by Colorado State.
CSU turning this completely around. This was their early game. You remember we mentioned they are a very strong early game team, as we saw from last game. That was with champions that aren't designed for it. Now, when they have the Hecarim, when they have, the ability to really take the early game, make it happen, they're going to be fantastic. And right now we see the power. Their jungler, DJ, had so much impact so far, right? He is just continuously doing well, but Falcon, talking about continuous pressure, Kiliani is here and is painful with the Orianna.
Yeah, feeling the first kill pressure. It's a nice blast cone pop early to make sure that you can't use it to get too far away.
I feel like Denan actually got benefited by that blast cone, though.
Yeah, it was...
Any way but back towards them, I think, is a benefit, right? If it's any of the other 270 degrees, as we saw there, he basically gets out.
Well, that's exactly what happened to him this time, getting right out and away with it scot-free. Nobody to punish that one for him this particular time around. So at the end of the day, it's a good pickup for Kiliani. He's still feeling mighty fine about that one that he's got in his back pocket. CS lead as well for himself means that no challenges around this dragon. He's fine to just hold out the mid lane against the 2 bottom lane members of Colorado State. Ivern moving and grooving around this map. He's 0-0 and 3. It's hard to look at the numbers and know what kind of impact he's had on this game, but this guy's all over the place.
It's he's kind of having an impact and he's kind of in the right spots at the same time, but then even so, I mean, you're talking about it, right? And you're thinking, is he having enough of an impact? Like, is this actually what the Ivern needs to be doing? Because it just seems like the Hecarim is doing the same things, but more and better, right? He's just always in the right spot. He's always getting the picks. He's always setting people up, burning flashes, etc. And no one's really contested him so far.
Not yet. No deaths to show for him either. Nice 450 gold bounty on his head. Outshined just a little bit by Geld there on that Sivir. Yeah, 450 gold's good. 650 gold, though. I'm going to talk about a bounty. Both high price tags over their heads, and if they both go down in one fight, well, mercy me, that would be quite the influx of gold coming out to their eventual slayers, whomever they may be. But if you're ever looking for an excuse, it might just be here at this mid lane tower. Kiliani there. Try to hold this one out. The Ludens as well got some nice wave clear, and the offensive redemption coming out. Geld, gotta be careful with Spell Shield. If you don't time it right, that Orianna could absolutely just eat your lunch. And meanwhile, top tower finally finished off. Apto finds that one for himself. And Falcon, it's a long and painful walk back to tower. And that will keep him alive. But meanwhile, here he comes in. That's DJ Kush not going to find it through. Kiliani actually, massive turnaround. Rise of Fenris is there. It's a huge shutdown coming out now as Apto is getting some much needed gold back in his back pocket. Finds a bounty of his own. And DJ Kush maybe just surviving at the very edge of it all. Can't say the same for that mid lane tower, though. That is taken out and away. The prize of victory for Virginia Commonwealth. And yet again, they take what should have been Colorado State's fight to win and turn it on its head and find a huge advantage for themselves here in this game.
And find themselves an inhibitor turret to boot. They will have the tanking ability to take this down once they do.
Oh no, Falcon.
Or won't they, actually?
Falcon, no, he's taken
Yeah, they
out.
still bring it down. Falcon dropping, they will have to back off the inhibitor, though, because the rest of the members have already respawned. The Hecarim is well onto the flank. The Predator should be up soon, and he's thinking about it. Doesn't really want to full commit with none of his team there, but Eckhart has already made him make his choice.
Yeah, maybe came to the wrong neighborhood here and has to flash and, or sorry, just dash out. Doesn't have the flash, just dashing out. Nicely timed at the end of the day, and Geld,
Remember, no
CC
rock
stacked onto
action.
his head. Holy cow. Almost obliterated there, but just surviving at the very edge of it all. Well, that's good enough for him this time. They don't want to lose their red buff. They want to try to take this one back from Apto, but DJ Kush not there to do it. They were maybe trying to bait a smite. He's a little wiser to do that than when the Baron is live, though, and giving up the red buff does sting, but holding on to the smite, a necessary portion of this game discussion that must be going on within the team right now.
This is, really something. I mean, it seems like VCU are just getting more and more kills out of nowhere, right? Their Jinx is now fed, their, Orianna has very few deaths again. Kiliani somehow is unscathed against a Hecarim that has been rampaging through the rest of the lanes. The mid lane's still relatively untouched, right?
Yeah.
And that's, the boon for the side of VCU. They need a lane that's winning. This is their lane.
Yeah, the only two members, jungler DJ Kush, on the side of CSU, and mid laner Kiliani, side of VCU, left without a death on the docket here. Oh no, I'm sorry. I am very confused. So Ivern and Eckhart have both remained deathless as well, just drawing my attention the wrong way there. Either way, it shows the conservative play now coming out of the side of VCU, and it's been working relatively well. They've been getting their carries fed at minimal expense. Did get a couple kills over the Sivir, the Hecarim, a huge problem for themselves right now. Something they may be faced with just a little sooner too, but at the end of the day, good Janna disengaged to hold that one off. Didn't even have to use the ultimate, so they're feeling great about their chances starting this next fight out. And Mappy Chow, he knows it. He wants to find the pressure, he wants to get in closer, but they're just buying time for the split push. Eckhart, though, may be in some trouble if he doesn't manage this one very well, though.
It's a pretty good W.
Yeah,
that
beautiful
parry was
time.
exactly on time.
Yeah, I mean, just we talked about managing it well. Hey, well, that was it. Congratulations. Now, maybe more to come.
Second mountain over the side of VCU. This game, it's definitely on the same path as the last one was, but I have a feeling next fight might decide a lot more, right? CSU, they win a fight, if they bring down the Orianna and the Jinx in the same instant, they're going to have a great time. If they don't, if they die, their base is the one at risk because the inhibitor's already open.
You have more room to play with here, for absolute certain. And if they get these early kills, VCU could really be turning this into more than just one tower at a time, with as strong as their composition is. A Mountain Drake to boot now in it. And these towers be feeling the ferocious thundering punch now that would come from VCU. It's just a matter of making sure that doesn't happen for Colorado State. And they got good wave clear, but is it good enough, especially with the Baron a looming threat in this discussion?
I don't think so, right? The problem is, even though they have, wave clear, even though they have the Sivir pushing, they have no mid lane towers, right? This is still a mid lane which is incredibly close, so the minion wave is never actually going to be out of reach for the side of VCU. They can just keep pushing it in. They can keep responding. Eckhart.
Boy.
Now, speaking of chase, speaking of responding, Danan is here now, and Eckhart, I know he can dash a lot, but I don't know if he can dash often enough to get out of the range of the Kassadin, who's about to come back up with yet another thing. Yelled is gone.
Apto just so strong on this one, but is turned back around. Doesn't matter because the Baron's really what they want, and they will sacrifice the Fiora for just about any day there.
Orianna versus the Hecarim, yeah, she wins this fight. She flashes the wall to follow him and brings down DJ. Kayleani, a rampage for him, and what can you say? The Baron to boot, the kills are in their pocket. Yeah, they lost the Fiora, but the inhibitors are in their sights.
Yeah, this is a much faster pace turnaround from the advantage that they found this time for the likes of Virginia Commonwealth. I don't want to jinx it, but I would be surprised if we ran all the way to a 37-minute game this time around. It looks like they're set up to take this in the 2-0. Colorado State looking fast out of options. What else can they do to try to hold this one back in and then win another game afterward?
So what they can do, right? What they can do, stall out. Sivir does kill teams, especially teams that are super squishy, in like 4 auto attacks. If they get to the Sivir at 4, 5, 6 items marks, she will kill the entire team. Right? Sivir Kassadin plus even one disruption, the Rift, or the Hecarim ultimate, or the Scream even, right? Any of these things are going to be just enough to do it. Spikes even, right? Vorpal spikes in the middle of the team. Doesn't matter what you land. Any CC onto a bunch of members at once, the Lulu ultimate included, is going to give them enough time to burn down this team, because there are no health bars. On either side, there are no health bars. So all the damage sticks, and it sticks instantly. And that's really what you gotta worry about, right? If you're on the side of VCU, sure you have an advantage, sure you've got great push, but if you overstay one time, if you get caught, the fight is not in your favor because they have damage also. It's not like last time, right? Last time they could just throw their tanks at them and say, oh yeah, we got a line, deal with it. Who do you throw at them? You can't, Well, you
gotta throw something and fast, because quickly running out of options here. Circling the drain and circling up in the shockwave, perhaps. Falcon in some real trouble now. Kayleani still unstoppable. This tower gonna go right on down. Just champing right on through. Rampaging on the side of Virginia Commonwealth. And
they're going to get this inhibitor turret. Realistically, there's no way to stop this. The inhibitor's going to go down as well because the Jinx exists. Unless the Hecarim goes in, they're going to lose not just their second inhibitor, but most likely another member on their team, and that's the one that's going to go down. Kayleani instantly dispatches the Lulu.
He's happy to do it too. Rise of Fenris not rising too much up in this particular game. His 5th death of the match time. DJ Kush trying to get the desperation play, but look at the Rudolph Geld is so instantly destroyed, and this is going to do it. The double kill, make it a triple perhaps. No more to come.
Make it a quadra.
No, it's a triple for Jinx and double for Kayleani there. Just been absolutely tearing through it. 15 kills to 8. Maybe changes up just a little bit if they want to go for the cheeky fountain dives here. If they get a little froggy enough to jump, but compared to last game, 31 to 22 or something like that, it's a quieter game, but the result is the same. It's Virginia Commonwealth coming out with the W at the end of the day. They find it for themselves. They get the win. They are victorious here in the round of 8, and we'll move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, the ECU, they didn't seem like they had an early game plan, right? This has been, I think, a characteristic of a lot of the teams that have been winning recently, right? You remember we watched last week, JHU. They did lose some early game fights. They lost quite a few, in fact.
Yeah.
A lot of these teams are not polished enough to win early game and win the rest of the game at the same time. So exploiting them becomes a matter of playing your composition to the right ways, exploiting the right opportunities in the early phases of the game, getting an advantage, holding the advantage, translating into objectives, and then winning, right? The problem being, this is still junior varsity. You know, sometimes people don't have the ability to do that, and a lot of these top teams are just relying on their innate macro knowledge and the late game team fighting to carry them out of quite a few dangerous situations.
Well,
that's the case for VCU as well, but they do win it 2-0, even though CSU put up a very impressive fight in this upper bracket. They will be dropping to the lower bracket to try and claw their way back in a later stage.
Yeah, it's not all over for them just yet, but, back to the drawing board. Maybe you get a little bit of good tape out of this one. Review, revise, come back all the strong, and reap the rewards if you can. And meanwhile, for anybody else watching this, seeing Virginia Commonwealth, seeing that early game, maybe knowing, hey, here is a chance, something we could exploit. Maybe this has been good for them as well to kind of get up against Colorado State, have that win.
Yeah.
They'd be hitting the books themselves. A lot of homework for these college students. Nothing nothing too out of the ordinary there. They're used to it.
Hopefully they're used to that, you know.
Do your homework, please, everybody. I'm begging you. Okay. With that, we will be wrapping it on up here. We'll see you guys next Tuesday for a little bit more League of Legends action. Still unsure whether or not we're going to be continuing to chew through the round of 8.
Or might drop the lower bracket.
Yeah, could see some lower bracket games. Yeah, we're trying to tossing around some options here.
Wherever we decide to go, you know, we're going to bring you guys along with, and that will be next week. But again, you've heard us say it all season long. If you want esports, one of the best esports to watch that isn't League of Legends is coming up right after this. We got CS every single Tuesday and Thursday immediately following League of Legends. Please do check that out if you're at all interested, right? CS is a great game. Fantastic to watch, really easy to pick up. So if you're ever intimidated by it, you're like, I don't know, CS, super fun. Give it a shot, see what you think.
It's all collegiate. It's all here on CSL, and it's every Tuesday and Thursday. So with that, we'll be leaving you, but some more action to come. We'll see you next Tuesday with more League of Legends. Thanks for stopping by, guys.